Okay, back to mess kits. We just got a Soviet Russian mess kit from a flea market. The mess kit itself was $7 and it's dated here on the handle 1991. So this was good because it was the last year of the Soviet Union. Soviet Union collapsed in December 1991 and the G at the end means year. And a canteen for $7 found at a flea market. These are basically unused. The flask or canteen is dated at the bottom. It says 1989. So this one's 1989. It didn't have the cover though, unfortunately. But it's basically new old stock because inside these they had kind of a wax coating and they're undamaged and no dents or dings hardly except from storage and being sold on to the surplus market. But what can you cook in these? Well, first of all, wash them out well. You've got to boil them in, well, I put them in a big pot of boiling water and boil them for a long time to get rid of the waxy coating, and then they're nice and clean inside. So give them a good cleaning, take the top off the canteen, put it in a big pot of boiling water too, and then it will get rid of the smell inside, which is kind of a waxy, oily smell. But what can you cook in these? Well, they're only good really for dehydrated backpacking meals, right? No, you can actually cook meals in these, but you have to choose your ingredients wisely. So we'll show you how to cook a simple meal. We'll have to do it indoors though, because we don't have our alcohol burners with us. So we'll do this and show you how to cook a beautiful meal using the Soviet Russian mess kit from the 1980s and early 90s. So what can we use for ingredients? Well, we got buckwheat. Buckwheat is like rice, it absorbs flavors, but it's actually much healthier. It's lower in carbohydrates, and so it's actually a much healthier thing to take with you. It doesn't weigh a lot like rice either. It carries well. It's a dry good. You just need to have water available. Well, we've got a carrot. We've got some mushrooms. We've got some smoked ham. And we've got some eggs. Oh, by the way, when you're traveling, always take your AeroPress Go with you. It goes everywhere with us along with a grinder. So now we'll chop up some ingredients and get them ready for cooking. So chop up the carrot nice and small because we're going to boil that with the buckwheat. The buckwheat takes about 20 minutes to cook, so does the carrot. Slice up your mushrooms and they're going to cook with an egg to go on top. Sliced mushrooms and smoked ham. This is the secret ingredient that gives the buckwheat all the flavor and a bit of oil and fat, lard I guess, from the meat, which makes all the difference. So at this secret location, the CIA, the Culinary Institute of Asia, doesn't have access to our alcohol burners, so we're going to use this gas stove. And gas works perfectly. It doesn't leave any marks or soot on the pots, just like an alcohol stove wouldn't leave any marks. So we're going to add some water to the main kettle. going to start with a low heat. And add enough buckwheat for 2 people, which is about 3 handfuls. If you have to eyeball it, this is good buckwheat from Russia. It's called grechka. Grechka means buckwheat. And it's from Altai district. So 3 big handfuls for 2 people. 1, 2, 3. And I've got the carrots here, so we can let the carrots cook along with the buckwheat. And we're going to put a little bit of salt on top. And we're not going to add the ham until we've got the water boiling a little bit. So we'll let it warm up and start to boil, and then we'll add the ham. So it's heating up, and because these messkits are aluminium or aluminum in American language, you don't want to scratch them with metal utensils. So a good way to stir inside these deep pots is to use chopsticks. So give it a stir once in a while using some wooden implements such as chopsticks. So you can use the lid if you want. It's kind of hard to take off because it's quite tight fitting, I found. But once it's boiling, then you can add the meat. So that's just about boiling now. Remember to give it a good stir. And now we're going to add the smoked ham in large chunks. And remember, this flavors up the buckwheat. Buckwheat is great for absorbing flavors just like rice, but it's actually much healthier than rice. So use it when you can instead of rice. So now I'll put the lid back on. And we'll let it simmer for a while. So it's simmering away, and this is what a good simmer looks like. You don't need a lot of heat to cook. So just like eggs, heat control is important. There's very low flame just before it goes out on the setting here, just to keep it simmering for about 20 minutes. That's how you cook buckwheat. Okay, fast forward about 20 minutes now, and you can see most of the water has been absorbed. If I take it off the heat, you can see that the water is really down at the bottom. So we can set this aside, and now we can work on the egg and the mushrooms. And you can see how low the flame is on the gas here. It's the bare minimum. So when we're working with a trangia, it's important to have the simmering and to use it to get very low heat. And with the frying pan, we're going to use very low heat again. I'll just warm it up a little bit here. And we're going to get some butter. Butter is the key to frying eggs. And you'll find that it's non-stick. So we'll be back in a minute with the eggs. So with very gentle heat, just warm your pan slightly first, dry. And then we found these in the store, these little butter pats, as we call them in England, pats of butter. Grand something or other. But anyway, these are perfect because you don't need much butter. In fact, you only need half of one of these. So we got half of one here. Just that much butter. And then coat all around your pan. And it helps to have a cloth handy because the handle can get a bit warm. So make sure you've got some butter, and sometimes a little bit of olive oil first, doesn't hurt either, and then butter. But butter should be enough for this. And don't burn it, just let it sizzle up and melt. Keep your pan warm. And then with the egg, just take your time. Don't rush. Use a low heat. And we'll see if it becomes non-stick or not. Eggs are one of the hardest things to cook without sticking. So I'm even holding it above the burner so as not to get too much heat. Meanwhile, the buckwheat is soaking up the rest of the moisture in the pot. So the buckwheat is just there absorbing the flavor of the ham while we're cooking the eggs and then the mushrooms. Let's see how this is going to be non-stick or not. Oh yeah, a non-stick egg if you use butter. We didn't use a scraper, we didn't use anything to touch the egg, and it's just sliding around like an ice skater there on that butter. So the key is to warm the pan, then warm your butter, and then use gentle heat. So we'll be back in a minute with the mushrooms. And now there's enough butter left over to fry the mushrooms. Same thing, use gentle heat to start. That way nothing will stick and burn and make a mess of your aluminium Soviet Russian mess kit. It cost all of $7 at the best flea market in the world at a secret location in Tbilisi, Georgia. So we'll be back in a minute once the mushrooms have browned up a little bit. So they're almost done. As you can see, nothing's sticking, and this pan can just be wiped out with paper towel and not damage the surface, because it is aluminum. It's not like the Swedish steel one or the PFM 40 from Dave Canterbury. This one you should take some care with. This one's a historic item, remember, 1991, so we're not going to damage this one with sooting it up with fire. We're just going to use gas and alcohol to cook. We'll be back in a minute. We'll get this out on a plate and then do a taste test of a Soviet Russian meal cooked by the CIA, the Culinary Institute of Asia. Nice. Let's get this out on a tray or a plate. So let's do a taste test. Got some tea. And by the way, if you can find this tea from Azerbaijan, Mariam, it's really good stuff. Mariam tea from Azerbaijan. I like the whole leaf better than buying tea bags, but it's very good tea. And they do a whole leaf in a box. So now the final taste test of our Soviet meal.
Let me taste buckwheat first.
And the ham gives it all the flavor, right? Salty, smoky. Probably could make a good curry with buckwheat instead of rice.
Mushroom's good.
And the egg was sliding around like an ice skater. And it's perfectly cooked without burning anything to the pan. So you can cook with aluminum without sticking. The key is the low heat. How's the tea?
Moment. Mint.
Oh, you got the mint one. Okay.
Yeah.
There is a mint one, which is really good as well. But I like the Mariam black tea. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and write subbed in the comments because we're still waiting for the 1,000 subscriber draw. As soon as we reach 1,000, we'll pick a lucky winner by random and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.